when we started Agnes, I said, I want to write about a food writer because my cousin was food editor of the LA Times at the time, Russ Parsons, and I could ask him anything. And I'm very lazy when it comes to research. And he said, I want to write about a hitman. And we kind of looked at each other like, this is not going to be easy. I even emailed Russ and said, okay, I'm writing this book about a food writer and somebody's trying to kill her. Why would they do that within the food community? And he wrote back and said, Jenny, we don't do that. So we had to start again and figure out, how to do it. And I think that's one of the great things about the book was it's a great thing about the collaboration. We pull each other to the middle. So she's here and he's here, but okay, somebody's trying to kill her. Why? Well, why is he here? Back and forth. And what's his plot? And Bob likes action plots and I like emotional plots. And how are we going to put that together? And we were just so in sync at that point that that's a good book. You've actually got two arcs when you write. One of them is the internal emotional arc. And if that's the only one you write, the book dies on the page. And the other is the action arc where things blow. And if that's the only one you write, the book dies on the page. The reason the action is important is because of the impact it has on the emotional lives of the characters you've invested your readers in. The reader cares about this character and something blows up, they're going to worry. If the reader doesn't care about the character and something blows up, they'll close the book. So having made the readers care and then putting them in the middle of this action plot. And then if you're really good, making what's happening in the action plot reflective of what's going on emotionally, metaphor and motif and all that stuff. You meld the two of them together so they're indivisible. And you have so much emotional fuel with so much action actually happening. One of the first email exchanges Bob and I ever had was after we read each other's books. And I emailed him and said, so did these people ever talk to each other? And I got an email, I think they crossed, where he said, did these people ever do anything? And that was pretty much, I write with Bob and people do things. He writes with me and people talk. And we pulled each other there. Liz Danger. That actually happened a long time ago. I was co-writing a book with a good friend and it didn't work out. But my character was a woman named Rosalie Malone, and she was writing the Liz Danger mystery series. And I had made 12 book covers of hers, and they were things like Rest in Pink and One in Vermilion and, all these color things. So we got to this, and my daughter Molly had looked through them, and she said, you've got to write these books, because they had all these tan little Indians and, just great titles. My favorite is still Yellow Brick Roadkill. I think we might write that one. That's why her name is Liz Danger, because she was supposed to be over the top, the Liz Danger mystery series written by Rosalie Malone. And I just like the name Liz Danger. And then Bob made fun of it. Bob's character would, she comes with a warning label, that kind of thing. So I just didn't want to change it. I'd been with her for so long. So I wrote Lavenders Blue. I worked on it for like 12 years. Couldn't get to the end. So Bob and I had still been emailing back and forth as friends. And I said, I'm having problems. And he said, send it to me, because he's a book doctor too. And I sent him Lavenders Blue. I had like 60,000 words done on it. And he sent it back and he was saying some stuff. And I looked at Lavenders Blue and I thought, that cop hero is a mayor hero. So I said, Bob, you want to collaborate again? So we started again. And I told him, I said, I know who Liz is, but Vince is yours. You can change anything you want. And he made the character his, and he was just brilliant with it. And because of what he was doing, Liz came alive. And we restructured the whole book and finished it really fast. And then we did two sequels, and they went like the wind. I've never written books that fast. Rest in Pink was fun because we already had the community established and the relationship. They were still working out the relationship. But it was established. You knew, if you ever read a book and thought, gee, I wish this would go on, but be different. That was what Rest in Pink was. Liz is a ghostwriter. And she's ghostwriting a memoir for a woman named Anemone Patterson. Bob hates that name. He can't pronounce it. And Bob kept saying she's like Dolly Parton. And I thought that's close enough. She was different. I had based her roughly on Elizabeth Taylor because she'd been married 5 times to all these and she'd accumulated and she was doing all this good work, but she's also nuts. And she was so much fun. Liz was the calm, younger associate who would say, let's concentrate on this. And then Emily would go, and now I have this fabulous idea. And the tension between the two of them, it's always fun when there's a really close relationship like that. And then Liz did not have a good relationship with her mother. They managed, but the contrast between Liz's mother, Mary Beth, and Anemone, and how Liz worked with both of them. And I love that mother-daughter thing. And then there's a little girl in here that Liz ends up, Anemone takes over when her mother goes to rehab. And Liz finds herself in the role of a mother because Perry needs one. And she gloms onto Liz. And there was just, Rest in Pink is so much to me a book about mothering and how many different ways there are to do it and how many different ways there are to screw it up while somebody's burning down the town and she's having hot sex with Bob's character. So, it's just a lot of stuff going on. I was terrified about One in Vermilion because that's where we had to get serious. That's where the relationship was going to get serious. That's where the threat that had been looming over everything for 3 books was going to get serious. And we finished it and I said, no, I have to go over it again. And Bob went, okay. And we rewrote it a couple more times. And he said, you have to let this go. And one of the things I hate is when you get to the end of a series and the last book let you down. I was terrified of that. And then the Amazon readers started posting saying this was the best book of the series. And I went out and danced in the streets.
How did you decide how it was, without giving anything away, I suppose, in dealing with endings? How did you two in that book decide where things were going to sit?
Well, you've got your external plot, which was them saving the town. And that was, they saved the town. They drew characters together. There was a team. It was very leverage oriented, and at the end, they defeated the bad guys and saved the town. So that was just the emotional ending. The thing about romance novels is you don't really know for sure that a relationship is going to last for about 3 years. You have to. So unless you're drawing an arc over 3 years, which most romance novels don't do, what you have to do is sell the reader on clues that these are people who will talk to each other, who will handle the bad stuff when it comes, who are invested in this, who are willing to give up their own ideas or merge with the other. You have to set all that stuff up so that the reader knows instinctively that down the line, when the bad stuff hits, they're going to make it. And I wanted to do something different in the romance in this. And Bob said, yeah, go for it. So at the end, they tried living together and it didn't work out. So at the end, they're living in separate places and still totally devoted to each other. And she's not a jewelry person, but at the end, he manages to give her a diamond ring in his own way, that shows that he understands her completely and that the two of them are adapting to each other. And that's what I mean by romance novels always end up with compromise and the soft ending, which isn't as thrilling as, throwing the bad guy out a window. But you need that. You need to sell the reader on the idea that 10 years from now, these people will still be having sex on the kitchen counter, that it's going to keep going. Bob and I are working on a new trilogy. We're working on the second one right now because I had established the Lavenders Blue community and everything. I said, okay, you get to go first. What are we doing? And he said, I want to write about a small town in Appalachia that's all retired spies with the ability to kill. And I wanted to write about an artist. So we negotiated that. And it's called the Rocky Start series. That's the name of the town, Rocky Start. And we're having a wonderful time. His guy is an alcoholic agent who's walking the Appalachian Trail to dry out. And he ends up in town just as some guy in a suit is trying to evict her, and she hits him with the Maltese Falcon replica. And he grabs the guy and throws him into the street and tells her to have a nice day and keeps on walking. And she thinks that's got to have been a setup. That guy coming in here and then this guy showing up. She follows him to pick his pocket. She's very good at picking pockets. She was a magician's assistant. And he ends up needing a place to stay, and she gives him an apartment, and it goes from there because people keep dropping. Bob's having a wonderful time. The bodies are dropping like flies.